Derek, let's just start with just now that you've had a year in this rivalry game with the Falcons, have you kind of gained an appreciation of how much it means to the city and how basically with the fan bases it gets pretty intense?
Absolutely. Me and Foster are coaching my two boys, our football team right here next door, and every parent and every kid knows what week it is. Like they didn't even care about the game we were about to play. Like, hey, it's Falcons week. So absolutely. You can feel it, especially once you play in the games. I remember our old Raiders and Chiefs and Broncos, those games, and the atmospheres in the stadiums, the fans towards each other, all that kind of stuff. So getting a year under my belt, you definitely know what you're getting yourself into, and it's a big deal. It's definitely a big deal, but it's the biggest deal because it's our next game. So that's even more important.
Derek, having been in rivalry games, is there carryover from the previous year? Because the last one ended up a little bit lopsided.
I think I used to, I would say earlier in my career, because there was more turnover. But now there's so much turnover with coaches and players and things. Like every year is just a new year. Every team has a new identity, all those kind of things. Some of the things, that happened last year. Some guys aren't even on our team. Some guys aren't even on their team. And so it's still a rivalry. You still want to beat each other and all that kind of stuff. But like the year-to-year stuff, I just found throughout my career, unless other people care about it, just to me it's just it's a new team, new opponent that you're facing, and you got to get ready for them.
With Eric being out, how does that affect what you guys want to do offensively?
Yeah, I always say it, man. You can't just replace somebody, but other guys have to have roles, and other guys got to pick up, some of their stuff to, help, help whoever's in there playing. And so, you can't, just, get rid of Eric McCoy and, replace him with somebody. We're praying for Eric and wish him a speedy recovery and all those kind of things for him and his family. But, we have a job to do, and our guys, they came to work today with a purpose. I think the intensity and the mindset, and the realization of the situation was important to our guys, and it was nice to see.
When you just like from the naked eye, the snaps from Lucas Patrick seemed, I don't know if they were like fluttery or a little bit off when he first took over, which is he's moving to a new position. How important, it's obviously important, but like finding that synergy and that sync with somebody new that you haven't worked with in a while? Oh,
yeah. And, there's, I always say this about our coaching staff. They do a great job of mixing that stuff up during practices too, So, even when, you don't see things, I'm over there always getting snaps with every center because I've been in this league where we've gotten to our third, fourth center, and you just gotta be ready. So there is a learning curve, but you hope that takes place in the OTAs and the training camp portion, so that when that time does come, boom, it's right back to that little battle rhythm and things like that. So I didn't really notice like a difference, and sometimes when you're playing, you're reading stuff you don't even notice anyway. But for me, I didn't notice. I thought he came in and it was pretty good.
You had any experiences that stand out in your mind playing with a suddenly reshuffled offensive line that stand out in your career, either good or bad or instructive, that you might put into preparing for this week?
I'm trying to think. There's definitely been times where you've had like two guys go out in a game, and you got someone who's never played tackle. They got to go to tackle and things like that. And I remember Caesar did it for us last year. He had to go to tackle. Was that in Houston, right? He had to go to tackle. Nick got his first playing time. Those kind of things. I remember there was a couple times with the Raiders we had guys go down with a knee or an ankle, and then bam, you're moving like. It's really hard on the coaches because I was like, okay, now you got to go here. You got to go here. It's you're kind of down that list of like, maybe we didn't know that would happen, and so, whenever it happens in a game, that's the hardest part, but when you have a week to prepare, you got those, you got Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning to kind of figure out the best, way to go. You can have a good practice so they can get reps together, but like a specific instance of exact injuries, I can't remember like for sure, except for last year.
Hey Derek, most of your targets have gone to Chris, Rashid, Alvin. Obviously they're the top players, so you want to get them involved. But how important is it as the season goes along just to try and get other people involved for?
Yep.
What does that do for an offense?
Yeah, and we've had it's really been interesting because we felt like we had really balanced plans, especially the first 2 weeks. But just how the games went, it ends up just now you're running the clock out and that kind of stuff, and some guys maybe don't get as many targets as they probably would have, and we really haven't thrown the ball a lot, just like in attempts, and so when there's not as many attempts, the targets for guys that maybe aren't first or second in the read go down. And that's football. So I think it is important. I think you're right. I think it is important to make sure we spread it to everybody, to where the defense knows that I'll make sure that everyone will touch the football. But at the same time, you've walked that fine line of you got to get your guys the ball too. That are number one and number two in those reads.
And then I remember you saying at the golf course that you watch a lot of 21 Vikings. What did you talk to Kirk about playing at all this offseason? And if you didn't, what were your observations of him just running this offense, and was it instructive for you at all?
Yeah, I didn't talk to Kirk about it. I don't think he'd want to help me,
Sure,
being in the division. But you watch him play, and I've always thought Kirk's a great player. Ever since he was in Washington, I thought he's outstanding. He's tough as nails, super accurate. I appreciate the way he plays the game, and to be able to do it for as long as he has, he's a really talented player. And so my takeaway from it, obviously I had takeaways from it, and how we do things, how you do reads and the footwork and all that kind of stuff, and it is a mixture of what he did and some other stuff too. So there are some new stuff, but there was definitely some takeaways for sure. To you pull from someone that's been in that system, made the reads, just like I did with Drew learning Pete's offense. I just you watch those guys and you see what decisions they're making versus what coverages and why and all that. So yeah, there's stuff that definitely helps.
How good is their safety duo with Bates and Simmons just back there?
They're unbelievable. I've played both of them for years now. Jesse's a great player. Like you saw last year, he left the middle of the field and went and picked off a choice route on the other side of the field. And he has that ability and he has that talent. And so you have to be ready for that, have a plan for that. And then Justin, I've played for years in Denver. And he knows how I feel about him. I think the world of him, not only as a player but more importantly as a person. I think he's if you're a kid and you want to learn how to play safety and you want to root for two guys, I'd root for those two guys because they're great people. We played, Jesse in the playoffs, and after the game, I come out and he's sitting there talking to my kids for 10 minutes. That's the type of people they are. And then you watch them and the type of players that they are, just outstanding talents, but even better people.
Derek, do you think, DA, we just asked him about the unique kind of fronts that Philly's defense presented your all's running game. Do you think this being a copycat league, you're going to see more of that going forward? I
mean, we definitely have to be ready for it. Definitely got to be ready for it and the things that can come off of it. And so our coaching staff has done a great job of being prepared and adjustments and all those kind of things. That if a game just goes all that way, how you adjust and how you do things. Because Raheem has shown that in his past. And so it's definitely something that you got to prepare for, got to be ready for, and. We don't have their script. We don't know any of that. We don't know what they'll do, but it's definitely something you got to be ready for sure.
Derek, it's a generalization to say the Eagles, obviously, their defensive plan was good, slowed you guys down, figured some things out.
Yeah.
And now that it was on film, they figured out how to stop you. What's your counter to that that's not true, and that you're confident that that you guys can counter move now against them?
100%. Well, that's a hard one to answer because there's definitely answers, but I don't want to give them.
Yeah.
I'll say it this way: you watch it, you see where we actually could have just executed better in certain situations, the communication, the execution of certain things, and then you also, the coach is like, hey, you guys could have done this, we could have done this, and here's how we go forward, and so it hopefully, when you get into a good building like we have here, you're always just trying to find answers. And so we have those answers. We have things that we're holding on to, and if a game presents itself like that, we go to those answers. Hopefully, I'm trying to say as much as I can without getting too much into it. Yeah.
Derek, you dealt with a lot of pressure up the middle in the interior in that game that you probably didn't see weeks 1 or 2. How limiting is that? How much does that change what you feel like you can do on offense? And throughout the course of that game, were there things that you wanted to get to but you just couldn't because of that pressure? Yeah,
there's definitely times where it's tough, but at the same time, one thing I just made a commitment, I had to be better, even if that is the case, this season. So I'm just going to stand in there, hopefully if I can, get out and make a run, if there's an alley or something, get out. But for me, I'm gonna hang in there. I'm gonna make my reads and do as best, as long as I can, hang in there, in those moments. And so it's football. That stuff's gonna happen. And so I definitely thought we made strides there. But there's definitely times where you're like this or this, and you got to make a decision based on how every game flows. If you're running it good, you want to keep running. If you're not throwing it good, you got to do this. There's, offense coordinators are making those decisions like in their brain, like every single play throughout a game. And so there's definitely, I think, times where Clint would probably answer that better than me. But yeah, I definitely think that's something.
In that last play, obviously a lot of pressure. When you went back and watched it, what did you see?
Yeah, I just trying to hold on in there, just trying to guess when Rashid was going to break, because I had to throw it early, and I ended up seeing the safety saw it, way before he did, and so it's one of those things. It's tough, but again, trying to stand in there and make one for the team. Next time, if it's not there, it's a perfect opportunity. I could throw it, skip it, don't have to force it, even though you need the yards with the time and all that kind of stuff. But definitely one I can learn from for sure. But also just trying to, for my teammates, show them I'll stand in there no matter what, and try and make that play for us.
Appreciate it, Derek.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.